I just got mail and I'm so excited about this. This is something that I have wanted to do for so long, and so I'm gonna open it up right now because I literally cannot wait. And then we're gonna do this tonight together. We'll see what it is in just a second. Okay, come on. Soil test kit. So, like I said, I've wanted to do this for so long. I could only afford to get one right now. I do have several different beds that I would like to do a soil test on, but for now I'm gonna start with the one that's giving me the most trouble. And just see what it says. I think this is so fun because for me, gardening is like fun and experimenting, and I just want to like learn all the things. And so this is going to give me a chance to do more experimenting and just like see where we're at, just as like a fun project. So this kit is from Redmond, and I watched Becky from Acre Homestead. She made a video recently about this kit and she used it, and it just seemed so simple. I've been looking at soil test kits for several weeks now, and I've been trying to find one that I feel like I would be able to understand. I found one online recently, and it seems like it's a very comprehensive test, and they like actually show you not only what nutrients your soil has or is lacking, but also what your soil biology is, and like tells you about the life in the soil. However, I could not understand, like I could not figure out how to order. I don't know if you just take a bag, put your dirt in there, and then ship it to them. There really wasn't instructions. And then when you go to like purchase, it was almost like you're filling out your own invoice. So I was super confused. So I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do it together tonight. I can't go outside quite yet, but for now, so what you do, it looks like, is you register your kit, you collect a soil sample, you mail your sample to the lab, and then you get your results through an email. And what I liked about this, when Becky showed it in her video, is that when you get your email, it's gonna show your nutrient levels in the soil on like a bar graph. And so it'll tell you like, you can easily just at a glance see what is optimal, what is lacking, and what is like too high. So this is super exciting, very easy to read. I think you get your results within it says over the next, what does it say? It takes about 6 days to get the results. So that's going to be the hardest part, or 6 to 8 days actually, is waiting to find out. But, and also it's so hard to decide which bed to do. But I have one section of the garden, it's an in-ground bed, and I just really struggle to get anything to grow there. I've planted a whole bunch of sunflower seeds and those won't even grow. I've had 2 sprout and like, that's it. And I've planted at least 15. So I think that's odd, and I just want to know what's going on. Like, I don't think it's lack of sun, but we'll see. We'll get into that more later, but this is so exciting. I'll see you in a bit when I am able to go outside and do this. I'm done working, and now it is soil test time. It's kind of ridiculous how excited I am about this, but I'm really excited. So I'm gonna show you the area that I'm gonna be testing so we can see what it looks like. Okay, so this is the space where I have not really been able to get much to grow. There's a sunflower there. There's a little funky looking one there. And then I planted seeds all through here, and they're just not sprouting. I've got a tiny little baby one there and a tiny baby one there, but not even half of the seeds that I planted have sprouted. These are some alyssum. Those have sprouted, but I planted sunflowers all along here, all through here. I know it's rocky, but they should still sprout. The seeds are good. What is that? Well, I found one of these yesterday too. It's like this, it's missing a wing maybe. It's like a really pretty fly. Dead though. I planted roselle here. No sprouts yet, but there were some weeds here. I've pulled the weeds, but all along, I'm trying to back up, all along this wall here, I want to grow at least flowers or something, but they just are not wanting to grow. So I think it will be interesting to see what the soil test results say. And maybe it has nothing to do with the soil. Maybe it's, whoops, maybe it's this tree right here. I don't know, but I'm curious, and it's just for fun. The tree has a box around it so that that little cat does not climb it, because she did that one day and tried to jump in the neighbor's yard, which would be really bad. But yeah, there's weeds all through there, but still not much. Oh, also last year I tried to grow a watermelon here, and it did okay at first, and then just like got really bad and died. So down a little bit further down the wall, this area I have added some compost to. So I do have some things growing here, but still not much. That's a bell pepper. I planted a bunch of chamomile there. I've tried twice. Nothing, although I'm not really having much luck with chamomile in general, so that might not just be the area. Tomatoes doing well, but I have a bunch of other peppers that are not doing super well, and like they're just not really growing. I've got 1, 2, 3 peppers there. Paula, can you move, please? Thank you. Not really doing anything. I planted a bean, and it's right here. It like sprouted and then lost its leaves, didn't really do anything. The yarrow is kind of growing. It's starting to do better. This is calendula. So things are, I don't know. And so I'm not an indecisive person, but for some reason I'm like taking this soil test thing way too seriously. I'm just gonna do this spot, and then I still plan to order more kits to test my other beds, because this is my like medicinal herb pollinator garden back here, and I would love to do a soil test there because it's all native soil in ground. So I just want to know, I'm just curious. But then this way, so let me see here. Oh, that sun. Okay, so right there is where we were just looking. That's where things won't grow. Right behind me, things grow amazingly. This is also an in-ground bed. I have not done any amendments to this soil, but last year it was all sunflowers. So this year, all these sunflowers that you see right here are just volunteers. I've got corn and beans. These sunflowers over to the left, I did plant, and then that's dill that is bolting, and it's just so beautiful. And I've got zinnias, and things grow so well here. I've got some kale that's bolted. So it's just odd that things grow so well over here and not there. Uh-oh, my cat's chasing a bird. Gotta go. All right, crisis averted. The cat has been detained. We have a pair of mockingbirds, northern mockingbirds, nesting in a tree right there somewhere on the other side of our fence, and they do not like the cat being around, and the cat really is very interested in them, and I don't want her climbing the wall. Okay, but that's taken care of. So now, I do not remember what I was saying, but it's soil test time. I can't get my tripod to work, or Pete's tripod actually, to hold up my phone, so I'm gonna have to just prop it up somewhere and do this. But I'm gonna go grab a shovel and then take our samples. But first, actually, I'm going to register my kit. I got my kit registered. That took like 2 minutes. I just scanned the QR code that came on the sheet of paper in the kit, and then I'm going to use the box and a clean-ish shovel, and just gonna dig. It says to get down about 6 inches and to take 6 to 7 samples. So this is a small area, but I'm gonna take samples from the whole area and then mix them together. got my samples here, and I couldn't even actually dig 6 inches down in most spots because it was so rocky. But what I'm gonna do now is just mix it up, because I took samples from 5 or 6 different spots, and take out any rocks. I'm obviously not sending this amount in, but you don't want to send in any chunks or plant debris. So pick all that out. This is so exciting, you guys. Like, I don't know, maybe it's crazy for me to do samples from this bed instead of the one, like my really big one where I have most things growing, or like I have a brand new raised bed that I set up this year, and that's not doing very well either. I feel like the compost that I got was not great quality. I don't know, but I think that's the one that I'm gonna do a soil test for next. And then it looks like a seed. Did I plant seeds over there? I don't know. That's my problem, is I plant seeds all over the place and I don't label where, and I don't know what I planted, and I don't know where I planted it. It's always a fun surprise when something shows up though. Got a lot of little rocks in here. What was I saying? Yeah, I don't feel like that compost quality was ideal, but maybe I will do a soil test for that area next. Because my big in-ground bed, things are growing pretty well. I'm not real concerned about that area. I would still love to know, and I do want to do a soil test on that. Actually, you know, maybe next time I can just order a couple and test all my beds. We'll see. But since these are in ground, this area might actually, that would be fun to see though. Actually, this area that things are not growing well, how does it compare to the area where things are growing well? That would be, I'm really curious about that, since my yard's not that big, so it's got to be like somewhat the same thing, right? I don't know. Interesting. That's what's so fun about this though, is it's like a science experiment. Okay, so I think I've got that mixed pretty well. I don't know, there are definitely a lot of little tiny rocks. Where'd that one go? Oh, and there's a bug. That's a good sign. Didn't see any worms though, which I guess is good and bad. I didn't want to cut any while I was digging. Okay, now you take this scoop and scoop out a level scoop. Gosh, I have so many roots. Oh, from what? I don't know. Weeds, probably. Doing my best here to get them out. Okay, so a level scoop. And then you take this container and do not dump out the liquid. Hopefully I don't spill it. And there's a little thing in there that stays as well. Dump the soil in. And then, do I mix it? Just says tightly secure the lid. Do not dump water out of the jar. So there's our test. And now you want to mail it back. It says within 1 day, I think, of collecting your sample. So make sure that lid is on there real good. I'm going to put it in the provided envelope that already has postage on it, and then go put it in the mailbox. How cool is that? Now I have to go cover up all those holes that I just made. All right. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So I will update when this it's going to Washington. I will update when I get the results from this and we can go over them together and then go from there. I'm not adding any synthetic fertilizers to my garden, but I'm curious to see what they recommend and then what I can come up with to, if I need to add any amendments, like what we can do to add something that's natural. I have this book that I'm reading right now, Regenerative Grower's Guide to Garden Amendments, I think it's called. And I can go, when I go in the house, I can show that, but maybe I can find some amendments in there that are natural and if needed. Maybe it will just be compost, maybe it needs nothing. That would be interesting. There, you know, you can get perfect soil test results and still have issues growing things. Maybe sunflowers isn't the best thing to try to grow there because that area really doesn't get that much sunlight, but it just doesn't get direct sunlight. So I feel like they would still probably grow. I don't know. Yeah, fun, something to think about. So yeah, that's it. Now it's just a waiting game. I'm anxious. I wish I would have done this. I wish I could have done this in the morning. Well, that does make sense because the mail brought it, so I couldn't mail it that same day. But I have to wait about a week to get the results anyways. So now I'm gonna go in the house and clean up my kitchen because it's a huge mess, and I've got some kombucha to bottle. I'm gonna try some new flavors this week. I've got fresh berries. I'm gonna do like a mixed strawberry, blackberry, and lemon, and then I'm going to do ginger and what did I do? Ginger cranberry. That one, I tried it last time. You guys, it is so good. But this one, what I'm gonna try to do is write down my recipe because I don't ever do that. And that way, if I come up with a flavoring that I really like, I can recreate it. So I guess I'll see y'all in a few days when these results come in. All right, it's still the same day, but I just figured while I'm out here, I just want to show the garden a little more. I have some sunflowers that just opened this morning, and they are beautiful, and they're so tall. They're taller than my head. They're actually taller than my arm. I'm not that tall. I'm only 5'1", but they're beautiful. Sunflowers are by far one of my favorite things to grow. And I grew so many of them last year. This year, I hope to grow just as many, but I'm trying to succession plant them. That way I can have blooms consistently, because last year I kind of waited until they were dying off to plant more. And so I had a long period of time where I didn't have any blooms. I hope to avoid that this year. Wow, there's a spider right here that's eating a fly. Hard to see. My phone does not focus well when it's on a video. It's that black spot right there. It's a little tiny spider eating a bee. Why won't you focus? That's a little better. Should probably stop disturbing him from eating dinner, but how cool. So the still is just so beautiful. I love it, and I don't really need the space for anything right now. I'm gonna pull it soon. I want to let at least one go to seed so that I can save the seeds. And then I've got some flowers down here. I've got calendula and zinnias that I'm sure will appreciate the space when the dill is gone. This zinnia just is not quitting. It's very old. It's from before winter and it's bloomed for so long. Here's that beautiful shade cloth we put up the other day over the raised beds. It's holding up. We've had some pretty strong winds, not monsoon winds, but it's holding up very nicely. This is my onion bed. I'm looking out to make sure that they don't start bolting, but I need to actually Google what that looks like because I don't really know. But it's definitely getting warm and I don't want them to bolt because those are bulb onions. And then I used Arizona Worm Farm raised bed mix in this bed and my homemade compost, and it was full of sunflower seeds. So it's an onion bed and sunflower patch. These are my potatoes. I'm growing them in buckets. We planted them together like over a month ago, I think. but they're not looking well. I don't know if this is like a disease or what it is, but they were doing so well and now they're not. They're turning brown on the ends of the leaves. I don't know if it's the sun, if it's not enough water, or what's going on. Maybe I don't think they'd be done growing already, but shoot, yeah. Is this what onions look like when they bolt? Wait. Wow, I'm struggling with filming and camera stuff today. I hope not. I don't know. But I do have some little bulbs. I definitely planted these too late. I planted them in January. I'm pretty sure for Arizona, or for Phoenix at least, I was supposed to plant them in like November. This is my raised bed. So this is the bed that's not doing super well. The tomatoes look amazing. We've got our first, this is a Lucid Gem tomato. The seeds are from San Diego Seed Company. It's supposed to be purple and yellow. Super excited about that. This zucchini is a dark star zucchini. It's doing good. It's doing much better. It was having a lot of like damage on the leaves. Like this, all the leaves looked like that, but they're starting to get better and it's actually really growing really well now. And then this is a yellow crookneck squash. We've got one there, except I don't know that it was pollinated, so I don't know if it'll last, but same thing, the leaves looked like that. And then I had a cucumber right there that looked the same way and totally shriveled up and died. I had 2 more zucchinis here. Oh, I planted one more and it sprouted. Yay, hopefully that one makes it. Same thing happened to them. Got really yucky looking leaves, just shriveled up and died. My peppers, not really. They've been planted since beginning of March and they just don't look well. It's end of April now. They're like not doing, and they were planted as seedlings about this size. So they haven't really grown. The leaves don't look good. My basil, same thing. Zinnia, browning leaves. Like, if you guys know what this could be, I would love some insight. This eggplant has not grown, and you can see the leaves are like spotty. That's a flower, but from a different plant. The leaves are spotty and just yucky looking. Another eggplant right there. The ends of the leaves are brown. This one is starting to perk up. I really, really hope it makes it. And then tomatillos are okay, and the tomatoes are just like thriving. So that's why I would be really curious to do a soil test for this bed, because for this bed I used Arizona Worm Farm raised bed mix and compost, and I'm wondering if I put too much compost. I couldn't afford to buy all raised bed mix, and because this is a big bed and it was pretty expensive, so I did their U-scoop compost. And so I'm just wondering if maybe the compost is too high in something that some of these plants aren't liking and the tomatoes are. I really don't know. I've never done raised beds before. Have not been gardening very long, but years ago I used to have a garden when I was, how long ago was that? Like 12 years ago, when I was a senior in high school. I had my first garden, and then that was all in ground. First I just grew flowers, and then I had some vegetables in ground. Never done raised beds before, so this was my first experience buying soil, buying compost, all of that. And yeah, I don't know what I did, but hopefully what's here will pull through. Hopefully that new zucchini I planted will pull through. I would really love to have more than just one plant, but it's okay. I'll take what I can get. It's all just a learning experience, and yeah, we'll see. So I think I definitely want to do more soil tests. This is so exciting and so cool. But let's go take a look at my big in-ground bed. Also, we cleared this area out the other day. Boys! And the dogs are loving getting to go back there. Come here, boys. Hey, Sherp. Polu. Polu. Come here. Say hi. Hello. He's like, what are you calling me for? They just think it's so cool. They have a new a new area to explore, and I just think it's so cool. I've put my chair right here, and these are my compost bins. I've been sitting right here in the mornings reading my book, and this is my view, and it's just so nice. The spot is all shady in the morning. Even right now, it's just beautiful. So beautiful. This bed here is mostly native soil and my homemade compost, and then actually it's mostly native soil and then organic soil from Home Depot. It was just like a really cheap bag that I just mixed in with the native soil. I scooped native soil out from a different area of the yard and then mixed them in together to like make somewhat of a raised bed. And then several months later, I topped it off with my homemade compost. And this is my garlic bed. It's looking pretty good. This is, I think, the biggest one that I have. Yeah, definitely. A lot of them are real small, like this guy here. This tomato looks terrible. I'm gonna pull that out. Spider mites. I've had spider mites really bad. Look at this guy. He's like super skinny. But otherwise, the bed looks really well. Same thing, my homemade compost has given me lots and lots of volunteer sunflowers. I guess if you can call them volunteers, I don't know. Got a calendula. These are some geraniums from my dad's grandma's house. Actually, when she passed away, he took some cuttings and he brought me some of them. She didn't pass away recently, that was a long time ago. He's had them growing in his yard, and so when he came out to visit me for Thanksgiving, he brought me some cuttings, and they're blooming and there's tons of new growth on them. They look amazing. I've got some carrots mixed in here that are probably needing to be pulled, but I checked one the other day and they're tiny. This is that giant tomato that we trimmed up the other day. I've had really bad spider mites on this as well, but I started spraying them off with the hose and the plant is totally coming back to life. I would prefer not to spray them off with the hose because I don't want to spray off any beneficial bugs, especially since I just saw my first ladybug in the garden the other day. But I felt like if I didn't do that, the plant was gonna die. So I kind of just did it. And then, whoops, almost tripped on the hose. Oh my gosh, my sweet boy is taking a nap. And then this bed here is just all native soil, and then I topped it recently with just a little bit of compost from Arizona Worm Farm. I've got a marigold, calendula down there. That's chamomile. That's not doing super well because I think this boy pees on it. Looks like he's burning it. This is my peppermint that I've been making tea with. It's going crazy. I want to get a bigger planter so that it can just take over the planter, not in ground. These are black beans. This is a volunteer tomato. Green onions from the store. More geraniums. Okay, and then this is the medicinal garden, which doesn't have a whole lot of medicinal plants yet. It's a work in progress, but I do have some calendula in a couple different spots. I've got my cilantro that's bolting. I'm letting it do that. I've got tomatoes growing here along the fence. I like to grow my tomatoes here along this fence because that's how I trellis them. I put a string from this beam down to the fence, and that's how that big one is trellised. It's very convenient. These are my nasturtiums that are starting to die off because they don't really love the heat, but they did so well throughout the winter. I planted these back in October-ish, somewhere around there. So what I'm gonna do, I think, is just start to plant some seeds in here. Or actually, Pete has some seedlings that we're gonna plant in here, and then when these die off, I might just like leave them so that they can reseed for next year. So they're loaded with seeds. These are the flowers. These are poppies, and I cannot get over how beautiful they are. Like, seriously, I don't even know how this is growing in my yard. It's incredible. So incredible. I feel so grateful. And then these poppies are closing up for the night, but I just love how it looks with their petals falling all over the ground, and they're just so beautiful. They're like dark orange in the center and yellow on the outside, I just love it. I've got like a mix of weeds and things in here, but there's some carrots back there. This is sage. That's a brandywine tomato right there. I've planted some seedlings here. I'm having a hard time getting things to sprout right in this area though, because the soil dries out so fast, but actually got something, not sure what. That's exciting. And then this side is really, let's go back to the beginning. So zinnias, calendula, a carrot, sunflowers, tomatillo, tricolor daisy, I believe, if my phone identifier thing is correct. Rosemary, the rosemary is doing so well. That's a volunteer tomato. Bachelor's button. Oh, there's a cat watching us. The tape on the window is because the birds hang out here and they always hit the window. The bachelor's button is incredibly beautiful. I have 3 different colors, as you can see. I'm not sure what this is, but looks like it's gonna start blooming, so we'll find out. Sunflower here that's fallen over. Lots of alyssum. This was just a wildflower mix I was planted here. This is my milkweed. It's a desert milkweed, which I believe is the Rush variety. Just transplanted it yesterday. I kind of struggled to get it in the ground. Broke some of the roots, so hopefully it survives. Bottle brush, I believe, for the pollinators. Lavender, this lavender, I have harvested so much from it this year. It's got so much new growth. I am super grateful for this. I really want to make some lavender salves and get this weed out. And yeah, I'm leaving some flowers on here to dry up to collect seeds from. And then I did plant some lavender seeds from this plant's flowers that I saved last year. Got one right there. I had one more, but that one died. And then I had another one that the cat dug up. And then there's one down here that's looking super leggy, but seems like that reseeded itself. And then the bean, there's some dill back there. That's thyme right there. I do have chamomile here. It doesn't look well. I really want to grow chamomile and it really does not want to grow here. Not in this spot. It doesn't want to grow for me. So I don't know why it's all white and gross looking. This guy is reseeding himself. It's a beautiful flower. This is from this time last year. And then sunflower, squash. That's an acorn squash. Oh no, that's not. That's a small, like, pie pumpkin. Oh, and then echinacea. I've planted tons of hollyhocks in here, have not got any to bloom. And I've planted tons of roselle hibiscus, same thing. Have not gotten any to bloom. What was I going to show you? Oh yeah. There's another echinacea. All right, that was it. That was a fun impromptu garden tour. But now I'm gonna go in and clean the kitchen and bottle my kombucha. Oh shit. I was just setting up my camera and I'm like testing lighting, like fixing my hair, all that, and then I go to start the recording and I realized that I already was recording. So I now have like a really funny 30-second clip of me being like Okay, anyways, hello. It's now been exactly 1 week since we did the soil test out here in the garden. So that was Wednesday, April 26th. Then today is Wednesday, May 3rd, and I just got the results. So I did the test on Wednesday, the 26th, and then I mailed the test in the following day. I got an email yesterday saying that they received my sample, and I've been like checking my email every day, even over the weekend, even though I knew that they weren't going to be saying anything on the weekend, that it would take a couple days to even get there in the mail. Very anxiously, not quite so patiently, awaiting these results. So yesterday I got the email saying that they received the soil test, and then today I got an email with the results. So I will put up a video. I'm gonna I'll take a video of the results and put them up on the screen so that you can look at them. But I have them here on my iPad, just looking at it, and this is so cool. Like, this is really, really cool. I just like experiments and science sort of type stuff. Like, not saying that I'm like, you know, very smart and really know what I'm doing when it comes to these tests, but I just think this sort of thing was cool. And I like I had a plan at the beginning of this year that for the garden this year was just going to be all experimenting, because last year didn't do very well at all. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to stop trying to look at it from the point of view and I want to grow all my food to survive, which I do, but in order for it to just be more enjoyable for myself while I'm learning, I'm gonna just look at it as an experiment. I'm just testing, I'm trying things, I'm finding out what works. So I had an idea that I was going to do. I've been learning a lot about like regenerative agriculture and no-till gardening and that sort of thing. But more so the practice of like not using any synthetic fertilizers and not necessarily using any fertilizers at all, not even organic or not even non-synthetic, but also same with like pest control, not even using pest control that says organic or natural or anything like that, just like sort of trying to create an ecosystem that balances out in itself, like attracting good bugs, which means means leaving the bad bugs, but in reality there's no such thing as bad bugs. Everything is serving a purpose here in the garden, and you look at things from a point of view of like everything serves a purpose, everything is good, everything is here for a reason, and so it all balances out in the end. And so I was thinking of doing like one like raised bed versus in-ground bed versus, and then like a bed where I did added compost to, whereas I didn't add compost to. I had all this whole idea. I didn't end up doing that. I kind of just like, the way that I operate is I'm very impatient, and when I'm excited about something, I just want to go for it and do it. Even if I don't have all the resources or all the plans, I'm not waiting until everything is perfect. I'm just doing it. And so I ended up just planting things and kind of forgetting about that plan. But now, after looking at these results, I kind of have an idea for another experiment that I want to do just for fun as like a test. I'm not really sure yet, but just some thoughts on that. So I'm looking at these results, and nitrogen is extremely low. I don't know if extremely is the right choice of words, but in my, like, just at a glance, I'm like, wow, that bar is extremely low. So that was really interesting. And then also really low on potassium. I love this test, and I love the way that this is broken down. It feels really easy to read. And I love that they also give recommendations on what to add. I don't know necessarily how I'm going to go about this right now, and I think I'll make another video when I have like more thoughts on this. I kind of want to talk to Pete too, because he's also been excited about these results, and it's just really fun. So I like that this is shown not only on a bar graph, but also like it explains it a little more. It has the breakdown of all the nutrients, both macro and micro. It has your results, the optimal range, and then it gives it a rating of high, low, or optimal. I only have two things on here that are optimal, which is sulfur and sodium. And actually that's interesting now that I say this, because the test says that I'm high on phosphorus, and it gives a recommendation for using elemental sulfur to begin lowering the phosphorus. But if I have optimal levels of sulfur, maybe that's different. I don't fully know. I need to do some more research, and that's why also I want to talk to Pete about this, because he's better about understanding these sort of things than I am, and he knows more about nutrients and stuff. phosphorus is really high. I'm not super surprised about that. From what I have learned in my research is that that's pretty common for home gardens, in-ground beds, is that you have plenty of phosphorus in the soil and don't ever need to add that. But yeah, nitrogen, really, really low. Calcium, magnesium, high. Iron, manganese, zinc, copper, those are all low. So I want to look into this more before I go about adding anything, but as of right now, like just first glance seeing this low in nitrogen, and I'm like, cover crop. I think I'm gonna plant a cover crop there. Currently there's nothing growing there besides maybe 2 sunflowers. Over on this side closer to me, the bed is over this way. So over on this side closer to me, I do have some tomatoes and some bell peppers growing, and actually I have pepperoncinis growing as well, sort of. I say growing loosely, they're not really doing anything. The tomatoes and one of the bell peppers is, and the bell pepper plants are like over a year old. I planted them this time last year and never really did anything until the spring. One of them all of a sudden grew, but the others are just not really growing. But I have added compost. Did I add compost? Yeah, I did. I added organic potting soil to that spot where those things are growing, and then just recently I added compost to that spot. So probably too recently to have made any difference. I'm not quite sure. But the other side, further that way, there's really nothing growing. So I'm thinking I might buy some seeds that I could use as a cover crop. I know that there are some legumes that do really well in the heat here in the summer. So that's my plan right now, but I don't know. And I also don't know, I need to look into more, do I really need to lower the phosphorus levels? And it's just really interesting. So some of my thoughts as far as like what I talked about with maybe wanting to do an experiment would be this bed right behind me is also in ground. I want to do a test on this bed. I wanted to test all my different areas. My yard's not very big, so I'm guessing that the results will be relatively similar, or if not the same for the in-ground beds, but I'm just curious about that because I've got this here behind me and then a spot way over, like I said, the yard's not that big, but over straight on this side, and things grow fine there. It's just this area over here that we did look at that together, that things don't grow well. So I'm curious if, even though the yard is relatively small, they're all in ground, nothing's been added, if the results will be the same or if they're really going to be very different. So this bed behind me, if the results are the same, what I was thinking is that one of the beds I do a cover crop in, and the other bed I add compost to. I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to, because I have some homemade compost being made, but definitely not enough for this area back here, and it's not even ready to use at this point anyways. I just think that, hold on, my mama dog's having an issue. She's fine. But anyways, I don't really remember what I was saying now. I think I was talking about my homemade compost. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought that would be kind of fun to see the difference, like versus like the difference between cover cropping and adding a compost or like maybe some sort of manure or something. I don't know yet. I guess really ultimately that would depend on if the results from this bed were very similar to the results from that bed, because then that would mean I could have like an actual there would be like an actual experiment there, I guess, because if the levels are totally different, then that would be pointless. But yeah, so really, really cool, really, really interesting. I'm so glad that I did this, and definitely within the next couple weeks I'm going to be buying a few more tests. I have one raised bed that I really want to test, and then the 2 in-ground beds. It's 2 more in-ground beds, so that would mean I would need 3 more tests. I have 2 raised beds, but there's only one that I want to test because that one I added a lot more compost to, and it's not doing very well. So I'm just curious if it's the fact that there is too much compost, or if maybe there's something with that compost, or maybe it's just pests and has nothing to do with the soil. But the other raised bed that I used a raised bed mix and only my homemade compost, which is just a little bit thin layer on the top, and that bed's doing amazing. So it's just interesting to see the difference between the two. The only difference being the first one I talked about, I added a whole bunch of compost that I bought in bulk, and then raised bed mix, and then the other bed is just my homemade compost and raised bed mix. Way less compost though. So I know this might be confusing. Hopefully you've followed along, and hopefully I haven't just like rambled and made no sense, but I know I was rambling, but hopefully it made sense. And yeah, really cool. Really cool. So I'm totally glad I ordered that kit. I'll put the link for it in the description box. It's not, I don't have like a discount to give you or anything. It's not affiliate or anything like that. It's just I've been looking for soil test kits, and I know we already talked about this, but I heard good things about this one, and super happy that I went with it because I just feel like it's really easy to understand, and it is cool that they gave suggestions on stuff to use. I didn't actually look at the suggestions, but oh, I gotta go. Pete's calling me. Pete's across the street at the neighbors helping them. He just called to ask me why their kale is growing and ours didn't grow. He thought that ours bolted, but it didn't bolt. It actually got covered in aphids, and it was really small. I think I stressed it out when I transplanted it, and actually I put it in that bed, that raised bed that I'm struggling with. But anyways, I think that's all I have to say here. Thanks for hanging out, and if you do this soil test, I would love to hear about the results and what you found, and also what you're going to do to adjust. Like, are you going to do cover crops like I'm thinking about? Are you going to buy fertilizers? Are you going to do compost? Just curious. I want to know like what you guys are doing and trying and have done or have had good success with, or if you know anything about this kind of thing. I would love some feedback, input. This is all just a learning experience for me, and I have a lot to learn, which I love that. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.